Greetings, greetings, and welcome to When the Moment Chooses You. I am your host, Coach Charlene, and I am extremely delighted today and honored to have the one and only Dr. Debbie Howard on the show. Welcome to the show.
Good morning. Hello, hello. Thank you so much, Coach Charlene. I'm truly honored to be here with you today.
So excited, girl. So tell us a little bit about yourself first before we jump into our conversation. Tell me about who is Debbie?
Yeah, so first of all, I am a woman of faith. I am a daughter, a mom, friend, sister, a Gigi to my grands. A little bit about what I do and who I serve. I've had a career in healthcare for over several decades. Oh my goodness. When I say that, it's just like, oh my goodness. Started early. I am a servant leader and I do coaching and consulting. And I get to work with some amazing leaders in healthcare and entrepreneurship. And yeah, I'm just very blessed to be a servant, especially in this season and time.
Yeah, that's absolutely awesome. So we're going to unpack that a little bit. So let me tell you a little bit of context. I like to start out with a little bit of context just in case this is the first time that someone's viewed. So I started this podcast. Really, it was a cry out of the double pandemic that we had in 2020 with systemic racism and with COVID-19. Everybody's lives changed in that instant. And so that was the origination, the birthing, or the conception of the idea. But I didn't really get the courage and the fortitude to do it until July 2022. But that moment in 2020 with the murder of George Floyd and all the other things that we were dealing with, it literally dropped me down to my knees faster than I had ever been dropped down because I was angry, I was frustrated, because I don't usually allow myself to actually watch the news in that manner, but I did at that particular time. And so when I saw it, I was like, oh my God. And so I went into prayer. And then there was a word that God spoke, and He said, what you do in this moment will determine your destiny and dictate your future. And so I knew that I had to move from anguish and frustration to action and impact. And that's where I actually said, okay, I'm going to start this podcast because I began to start sharing my voice with my organization, and everything changed when I start actually, sharing my story. So I love capturing trailblazers and change agents stories. And so that's kind of why we're here. So I'd like to kind of dip into some of your moments.
Oh my goodness. Ugh. There was this moment where I heard God whisper, you were created for more. Now walk in it. And it wasn't really loud, but it was undeniable. I was sitting in a leadership meeting and it was really around that same time of the pandemic and successful by every external measure, but something in my soul knew I was operating beneath the brilliance that he placed inside of me. And it was that moment that it didn't just call me, it activated me. It was really less about leaving a specific role or job, and it was more about finally accepting the assignment. Yeah.
That is deep. That is so good because I really believe that all of us have moments that we're called into, that God taps us on the shoulder and say, hey, you've been praying for this. I'm getting ready to move you into it. Now I want you to go. So that's really powerful, Debbie. So why don't you tell us first of all, what were your steps in doing that? Was it easy for you to be activated? Was it difficult? Like, tell me what you had to struggle through, or was it like easy?
Yeah. So honestly, at first I wrestled. I didn't leap. It was more like I lingered because when the moment calls you out of comfort into calling, it can be a bit unsettling. But then over time, I said yes. I started taking, small obedient steps that launched Design for Greatness, which is my coaching and consulting company, not as a business first, but as a response to a divine mandate to assist women and all people really to unlock purpose, build courageous confidence, and own their brilliance. So, those obstacles, there were obstacles
Yeah.
internally and externally, things like self doubt, the imposter voice that says, "Who do you think you are?"
Yes.
And externally, it was expectations, like being a faith leader, being a wife, a spiritual mentor. Sometimes people get comfortable with your current and really resist your calling. But transformation just required me to honor the tension and move forward anyway. It's, face the fear and do it anyway,
Yeah,
just being
absolutely.
faithful.
Well, I mean, you just said something very profound, and it's the lingering piece because I kind of want to unpack that a little bit more because I know that a lot of people that watch my podcast, they're in the valley of decision and that hesitation, that lingering, because they know that there's something that they're supposed to be doing more of, that God is calling to do more of, but the comfort zone, my familiar has been so my friend that I'm not ready to let that friend go, right? And so if there's someone out there listening right now that's in the valley of decision or they're feeling stuck because they know that that whisper is becoming a roar in their soul, but they haven't been able to tap in. So what would you tell that person today?
I'd say advancement is less about climbing a ladder and more about expanding your capacity and clarify your why. Because motivation, it fades, but it's our purpose that sustains us. I would say build authentic community. We weren't meant to carry vision alone. And then I would say be consistent. Even when you don't see the fruit right away, growth is happening in the unseen. That's
Yes,
what I
that's
would
really
say.
good. Yeah, that's really good. I like how you talked about because I think it's important for us to assess the internal and the external issues that are there, and that's really creating barriers for us. But I'd like to talk a little bit more about those internal barriers. You mentioned a few of them, but they're like I call them Coach Al, he calls them intrapersonal blocks, blocks to your destiny. So, intrapersonal. Now, before I started the podcast, now I knew that I had the dream to do it, but that inner critic, the enemy within, began to start saying things like, who's going to listen to you? Who are you? Like, who's going to be on your show? I'm telling you, it just like bombarded me. And then it was like, I think that's why I stayed frozen for so long. And so then I had an opportunity to facilitate this discussion in my organization. Shola Richard was going to be the guest, and I was going to be kind of like Oprah Winfrey, kind of interviewing him and stuff like that. And so we had a quick conversation. And he's like, "What is wrong with you? You better do the thing." It was just like almost like this thing that I needed to hear. Like I knew that, but it was almost like I don't know. It was like a activation, a commissioning. Like you know what, just do it. And I immediately on the heels of him pushing me to that place, I felt this strong urge to ask him. So could you be my first guest? And I did. I was like, could you be my first guest? And he said, yes, I will. And I just about fell out because I was like, I did it. I made the ask because to me, the hardest thing is making the ask. You know your value, but you're like, struggling with it because you're letting these intrapersonal blocks speak to you. The inner critic is talking louder. So I had to learn how to move that inner critic out and listen to the voice of God that tells me that I'm more than enough, etc.
Indeed. Oh my goodness. That's so good because that inner critic sometimes can be so loud, right? It's drowning out every other thing. And one of the things that really, I love what you said about that commissioning, like someone speaking the truth about who you are, because we can know it. And
Right.
it's not that we need the validation, but sometimes those self-doubt and those noises in our head can be so profoundly loud that it drowns out. And so
Yes.
that audible voice, because the spirit is speaking to us internally, but that audible voice
Yeah.
that said, you, what are you thinking? You can do this. It just is that moment that gives you the permission that I can do this, right?
Yeah.
Unapologetically, I have the capability, I have the capacity, I have the wherewithal to do this. And what I share with those that I work with is and partner alongside is it's not that those voices completely go away. It's they become less loud because they show up every
Yes.
now and then. They'll rear their ugly head, right? Those
Yes.
voices and noises will escalate, but it is reframing our language and speaking truth to power whenever
That's
that
right.
happens, right?
Yes. Yes, absolutely. That's so good, Debbie. Tell me some more barriers because I kind of want to get into the barriers because a lot of people are like stuck in between. And so it'd be really good for us to help them kind of to unlock that thing that's keeping them stuck. So share another barrier for me.
Yeah, I would say another barrier is the uncertainty, right?
Mm,
Sometimes we're uncertain about what does that next move look like, right? And we tend to want to know all of the parts, right, before we actually move forward. So that gripping us, because I will say that that is a primary domain for some certainty, right?
right.
And one of the neuroscience scarf model domains, certainty is a real important aspect. But what I would say to that individual who is just in this place of hesitation because they're uncertain, is just take a step, right? You don't have to know all of the steps to move forward. Ask someone who's where you are or traveling the road that you want to, just ask some questions. Take that first step and watch what happens. It's a faith moment, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely. That's really
I think
good because
uncertainty is a real one.
yeah, I think that's so good because uncertainty in particular because I know before I early retired I had so much uncertainty because I think that's why I lingered for so long. Like I was misaligned for at least 5 years because I know the spirit had been talking to me, but that comfort zone and the safety and all the things that we hold dear, we have to provide for our families, do all of this stuff. But in the midst, my soul is suffering with me keeping on pushing through. So I was very uncertain. So I finally went into prayer and then God said that you gotta start becoming comfortable with this uncertainty. And
Yeah.
I was like, oh, being comfortable with the uncertainty? And I was like, okay, Lord, I got you. And so I started walking in that, saying, you know what? I am extremely uncertain of what tomorrow is going to hold, but I do know who holds tomorrow. And so I'm going to lean in because he is leading and guiding my steps every way. I'm trusting in every step that I'm hearing and trying to follow because sometimes you don't hear a voice. You just got to keep moving. Yeah, right?
Yes. Absolutely. I think that is so true because I think this pursuit of our purpose and calling, it costs something. It
Yes.
costs, familiarity,
Yep.
people pleasing, even the illusion of control. Like sometimes the calling looks inconvenient and it rarely comes with clarity and applause,
That's
right?
right.
Right. But that's where trust is developed. And
Yes.
I believe that the enemy of our calling isn't always fear, it's fatigue too. We get tired with the waiting,
Yep.
tired, climbing, but but purpose has stamina. You
That's
just have
good.
to keep showing up. That's the key. Just keep showing up.
Girl, you just dropped a big old bomb right there. What did you say? Purpose has stamina. Oh
Yes.
my God, that's so delicious because I think about my life and purpose does. Like when you have a calling on your life, you have this stick to itiveness like no other. I don't care how exhausted you are. It's just like me. I knew my calling. I knew what God wanted me to do. But here I also know the other, my career choice that I made. So I had to have stamina. So, I would be working long 10 to 12-hour days, but I would not go to bed until I worked on my dream, because I was like, well, if I don't do it, then who's going to do it? I have to push through. Now that I was willing to push through and do.
Yes. Yes. You
So
got
that's
that.
so good.
Yes, it's that extra isn't it isn't a burden because it's part of my purpose, right? And so
Yeah.
I'm gonna push through and bring the vision through to manifestation.
Yeah, I love that. That is so beautiful. I'm wondering, can you share a moment with us in your journey where it just seemed like things wasn't gonna work?
Gosh.
I mean, the self-doubt, like you just feel like you're getting like beat up from every side.
Yeah, there was this moment where I was pursuing so I think I have a unicorn sort of situation where my purpose and passion is connected to my marketplace assignment. And there was this moment where I I was experiencing this pull to take a next step, go a step further. And I kept hitting what I would call brilliance blockers, right? Because it was wanting to hide in plain sight.
Hmm.
And compiled on top of that, trying to retreat were the voices, right? And the imposter. Why am I in this room, right? Really questioning how did I even get, how did I even get here?
Yeah.
And I remember experiencing what I call just this overshadowing peace. Like it was just I was overwhelmed with peace that just stopped all of what I would call confusion trying to penetrate what was already established in heaven. And I just had to embrace in that moment who I am. And it was a matter of embracing my identity,
Yeah.
who I'm called to be before the foundations of the world, right?
Yeah.
Before the foundations of the earth, there was a calling and I just had to answer the call. And so I think that moment of, all of the things being met with all of the external barriers of folks trying to come against what had already been established and maintaining integrity even in those adverse moments. And I think that was just like a critical time in my life that really allowed me to step forward unapologetically, authentically, with courageous confidence, transformed by the renewing of my mind.
That is so good. You said something about hiding in plain sight. That was a powerful statement there, my dear. Just because, I mean, everything that you're saying is totally resonating with me because I hid in plain sight for a long time. I did. And what was really profound is when I finally found my voice and began to start speaking up because I did not feel comfortable with being who I was born and destined to be. I would do little bits here and there, but we had a situation happen and I would call it's a miracle. I actually wrote about it in my book. A miracle manifested. And so since we had brought in Dr. Gene Watson's theory, it gave us language to be while we're doing. And so it actually gave me license to be my authentic, full, complete self. So when this situation arose and a baby needed prayer, I did not hesitate. I did what I needed to do, and then boom, we got a miracle. So that full authentic self is so powerful because I had to, and with that situation at the time, one of the leaders came to me and said, Charlene, you have to, when you tell the story, you really should leave out certain things. And I was like, yeah, because you may offend, da da da. I said, well, I know that this miracle was birthed out of Jesus. So I have to be like true to who I am with this whole thing. And so it was a tough, it was rocky there
Yeah.
for a minute. But then this is what I said. I said, I tell you what, you hired me, all of me, and
Mm,
this is who I am, and this is what I'm standing on, my principles that I'm standing on. And so if that's a problem, then maybe we do have a problem. But girl, I was so convicted with him knowing that he has my back that I was willing to step out on a limb and take a risk at it with that particular thing because nobody gets that glory but
nobody.
him. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
powerful. Nobody, right? I
No.
think what you said was so powerful too about standing on your conviction and amplifying your voice. I believe that is where we find our footing. It's so powerful because the hiding in plain sight, that's the visibility of our person. But when we amplify our voice and insert our voices into spaces, and I'm not talking about beating your chest, this, resounding sound and,
No.
coming in hot. No, it is your voice and your unique sound. There is a vibration and frequency that
Yes.
our unique voices carry. And so we can't be silent, right?
Mm-mm.
For because of fear, it is the inserting of our voices in these spaces that cause atmospheres to shift, right? It causes
Yes.
transformation to be experienced. So I think that is so powerful.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that was so rich. Why don't you tell us a little bit more, Debbie? First of all, about your business, just in case there's somebody out there and they would love to connect with your beautiful spirit. So let us know what you're doing.
Absolutely. So currently, I'm preparing for a Team Brilliance, and I are preparing for Brilliance Experience 2025. It is a transformational gathering of women leaders, entrepreneurs, and faith-driven trailblazers who are ready to live boldly and lead authentically. And I'm so excited and fortunate to have our very own host, Dr. Charlene Johnson, joining us alongside an amazing quorum of other women leaders. Also, as I shared earlier, I offer coaching through Design for Greatness, where I assist women to step into clarity, confident leadership, and their divine assignment, whether that's in business or their career or ministry. And so I get to do what I love and am called to do. So, yeah, I do group coaching, I do custom one on one coaching and speaking. So, that's a little bit
Yay.
about, yeah, how you can find me. Um, Debbie Renee Howard, all platforms, LinkedIn, Facebook, and that's also my website, Debbie Renee Howard.
And I will make sure that I put that down in the description when we get ready to launch the episode. So, okay, I'm going to get back into one thing that I absolutely love doing is I love wisdom. There's nothing more powerful than wisdom. And so I usually ask my guests if they would expand on three wisdom gems. So if I say, what is Debbie's top three for, it can be, I'm not even going to limit it for whatever somebody's listening today and they need something. And so what would be your top three wisdom gems?
So, I love this, by the way. And I would say be still and discern. Like every open door isn't your assignment, but when it is, I believe peace will meet you at the threshold. And then I would say get in alignment before you go public. Really allow God to deal with your identity privately. So you're not building your next season on broken belief systems.
Mm.
And then take the first step. Don't wait for full understanding. Obedience unlocks clarity. So that's what I
Powerful.
would say.
Those are powerful. Oh my God. All three of them are separate things that you can preach on right now. But thank you so much for that. So it has been such a delight to get to know you a little bit more. I'm so excited about the conference. So if you guys, we're going to put the registration link down here in case you're in the area. I think we'll be announcing the area sometime very soon.
It is Fairfield.
Okay, it's going to be in Fairfield. Okay. Okay, good. So it'll be here in Fairfield, California. So hey, you
Yes,
can fly out to it too for some of my listening audience. But that's going to be extremely powerful. So what you're doing, Debbie, is so amazing. It reminds me of this, and I'm just sharing it because I just see it. So where do you work? Do you actually work too?
I do.
You don't have to say where, but like, is it an organization or?
Yep, I am a what is called parallelpreneur. Thank you,
Okay.
Sunshine Renee. I do have a marketplace assignment
Okay.
in corporate. I am in healthcare for a large healthcare organization.
Yeah.
Okay, and I get to do what I love and I'm called to do in both the marketplace and in my business. So I'm
That is
incredibly
awesome. That's kind of what I wanted to point out because I didn't know that. But what came to me is something that God spoke to me and my husband many years ago. And he said that he was giving his remnant a crossover anointing. And that crossover anointing causes you to go in spaces that are not spiritual, so to speak, for the kingdom purposes and be your full, authentic self, and the anointing that is upon your life will speak for you. That was what he's saying. So when you just do you, it all gets drawn to you, those clients, those customers, the invitations and all the things when because you're your full authentic self and you are making a difference. You are being the light in the midst of darkness. And so powerful what you're doing.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I am nothing
Yeah,
without my creator, who I call
absolutely.
God. And I'm just so incredibly grateful
Yeah.
for the gift of service and what you said about when we show up authentically, how that creates the opportunities that
Yes.
just come to us. We don't have to clamor for them. They will
No.
just come. And I am living that
Yes.
out as a person who goes between the marketplace and
Yes.
between corporate America and entrepreneurship. So I'm seeing that in living color.
And that's I mean that's so good because I think we need to see more of that because it's like even where I'm at right now in this season in my life after early retirement, I have not had to strive. I mean, it is just flowing. Like things are just coming to me and I am not having to because I had this idea in my mind that, oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to get out there, I have to grind, I'm gonna have to do da 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 da. And the Lord was like, nope, you're going to just flow. And then all those things that are destined, that are attached to your voice will come toward you. It will not be striving. And so I was like, oh my gosh, okay. And it is such a wonderful feeling to be in that space of flow, like real, like flow. So that is really what you're doing. So that's so beautiful. You know what? Thank you so much. I could probably talk to you forever, but I know we both have things to do. But I will leave it with you with one more thing that you would like to present to the audience. Any tips, any strategies, anything for somebody that's stuck? That's a good question. I didn't ask you that. If there's somebody that's stuck out there with their purpose, what would you encourage them to do?
Yes, I would take some time of internal reflection because our purpose isn't something we find. You often hear folks talk about finding their purpose. Purpose is you uncover it and discover it because it's already in you. Purpose is just waiting for us to step into it fully. It is usually surrounded by the things that you are innately good at and do naturally. So take some time for introspection, self reflection, and write down, take a pen to paper. It's cathartic. The writing is cathartic because it helps us to really gain clarity around where it is. So, in that hesitation or space where you're feeling like you're not ready, you're ready. Take the first leap. And I do want to speak to these times, right? Because these are really sobering times that we are living in, but they're also sacred ones. And I believe that God is raising up transformational leaders who lead from wholeness and not hustle. It's what you said about flowing. And I use this term faithfully, flowing in the rhythm of God's grace. So don't let
Yeah.
the noise of the world distract you from the voice of God. Stay grounded, stay in prayer, and stay ready because revival will require your voice, it will require your story, and it will require your courage.
Thank you so much. And thank you for being on the podcast. Hey, thank you so much for listening. Hey, I want to invite you to join my Substack community. I actually have a free newsletter that I send you every month when you join. There's also another level to it. If you're a paid subscriber, you actually get a copy of my book, When the Moment Chooses You, and signed by me, as well as the access to a Q&A segment that we do and other live shows that I'll be doing. I'm also going to be doing a special Awaken Align class for those who want to really pursue their destiny and seize those moments that are in their life. So join that community. I'm trying to move things over there so I can have more contact with people. So I'll see you over there. I'll put the link down to join. And basically, it's only like $10 a month and $8 a month if you do the yearly subscription. So I look forward to seeing you over in that community. Thank you. And I love and appreciate all of you. Bye bye.